Obviously, your homepage is something that you need to invite people into your business, because if they're going to get to your homepage, most people will come there first. If it's not inviting, they won't go looking further. Okay? And when they get to the homepage, it's got to be, how can you help me right now? What can you do for me? Okay? Because particularly for bodywork people like us, that's what they're looking for. They want change in their body because they're in pain most of the time. So your About page is a great way to tell a story about what you've done, how you help people, things like that.
Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast, where we guide natural health and wellness experts through the pitfalls of marketing. Each episode, you'll learn simple, effective, easily actionable, and heart-centered marketing strategies. And here's your host, Angus Pyke.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. Now, you're in for a great session today because we've got a fellow practitioner who's going to be chatting with us, and it's Scott Murray. Now, Scott is well known for transforming bodies and online businesses, so a pretty unique perspective that you're going to get. Now, he loves the unpredictability of working in two very different businesses. Now, he works with bodies through Kahuna massage and energy healing. And for the past 15 years, he's done that as well. But he also creates websites as well. So we're going to have two really fantastic conversations. We're going to talk all around building websites and local listings and those kind of things. And then Scott is also going to share what's worked for him as a practitioner. So without any further ado, Scott, welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. How are you, mate?
Wonderful, Angus, and thanks so much for having me on board today. It's really, really good to have a conversation with somebody who's doing the similar things to me. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, we were talking about before the challenge that go along with having to be a jack of all trades. You know, so many of us as small business owners, we're also the head of marketing, we're the head of sales, we're our website developers, and we're the practitioner, we're the front desk person. We're doing all of these kind of things. And there are a unique set of challenges that we have as kind of health practitioners as well. So before we dive into all of that, a little bit of a background story. As you said, kind of 15 years with your massage, 10 years helping out kind of websites and stuff like that. Give our audience a little bit of your background.
Well, actually how it all started, I was in retail management for about 15 years and just totally sick of it. And I went for a massage one day and found a Kahuna therapist and just fell in love with it and thought, I've got to learn this thing. I need to do more of it. So I went and learned, did my thing, and then ended up swapping with my wife at the time. She was sick of the kids, so I got to go be a stay-at-home dad. Yeah. And massage was a perfect thing. I could, occupy the kids for an hour and go and do massage. So I really enjoyed that part of it. So, and then as that evolved, it's like, I need a website. And my sister said, I'm doing a weekend course about how to make websites. Do you want to come along? And I said, yeah, sure, let's go and do that. So they kind of just evolved as I was a stay-at-home dad, building, from part-time to full-time work, as you see, doing both the things I love. So I'm really quite blessed. I work from home with both of them. So as you said, I swap and change throughout the day for each one, depending what's required. And some days it's chaos and other days it's bliss. So you just roll with it. So whatever happens. So
sounds much like life. Some days it's chaos, some days it's bliss. Hey, tell our audience, because I am a huge fan of a Kahuna massage, and I discovered it by accident about 15 years ago, and now I look for it whenever, and I don't find it around all that often. But tell our audience a little bit about what a Kahuna massage is.
Sure. So a Kahuna massage is very, very different to any kind of massage I've had before, as you've experienced as well. It's a Hawaiian rites of passage massage. So there's lots of oil, lots of long flowing strokes. It's a deep healing massage. It's not just, can you fix my shoulder, please? It's like body, mind, spirit massage. I have clients see me dancing around the room when I'm actually working on their head. They see their spirit guides. They have messages, all kinds of things happen in sessions. So, and for me, it's an amazing experience just to be in that energy. Like a spaciousness, a stillness, I guess, is what where you go to, and just being whatever you need to be for that person to heal in that hour, an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it may be. So as you've experienced, it's a pretty amazing feeling to receive a Kahuna massage. So
it's a beautiful experience there as well.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had a Kahuna massage, then gang, try. And if you're anywhere up near kind of Noosa, in around that area there too, then Scott is the person to see. We'll have some details kind of linked in with all of this as well. So there's going to be two parts to this episode. So part one, let's start with the kind of whole website thing as well. We'll talk about building our own website and us taking control of that, as opposed to us having to handball it off, and it costs thousands of dollars for other people to kind of manage as well. And we'll kind of roll that into some local listing type sort of stuff, which has been very important for your business. And then part two, let's get into what works for you to be able to continue to bring business through the door as a practitioner as well. Does that all sound fair?
Yeah, sounds wonderful, mate. Looking forward to it.
All right, let's go. Tell us all about websites. What works, what doesn't work? How do we make it easy?
How do we make it easy? That's a good question, because I've actually for the last probably 10 years have built websites on Adobe Business Catalyst until they said we're shutting down. I went, crap, what do I do? I've got all these clients on Adobe. I need to move them over. What do I do? And the biggest complaint people had, like clients, once I handed them a website was, I can't manage the back end of it, Scott. It's too difficult, because most people don't have the technical knowledge that I do to do a website. So the number one thing I looked for was an easy back end for people to manage their website when I finished. And Squarespace ended up being my platform of choice at the moment. So I also use Shopify for online shops, but we'll talk about Squarespace today because that's probably more applicable to practitioners. So
Scott, were there some other ones that you kind of looked at when you were sort of thinking, I'm going to swap things over? Were there other kind of products that you looked at as well, or was Squarespace just the obvious kind of standout for you?
Yeah, no, I looked at everything. I mean, I've dabbled in WordPress over the years and don't really like it because I hear so many issues people have of being hacked, and, plugins don't work and causes conflicts with other plugins and things like that. So I chose not to go with them. I looked at some similar things to Squarespace, like Wix and Weebly and stuff like that, but they just didn't have what Squarespace has. And like Squarespace has a lot of training to help you manage your own website. And it's also something I know they update every single week. They're working on their product, okay, which coming from Adobe that updated, once a year, that was a blessing in disguise for me. So, and I also looked at other things that are similar to Adobe, but once again, they had the same problem, too hard to manage for practitioners or other clients once the site goes live. So Squarespace ticked a lot of boxes.
Many of the coaching clients that I have inside of our community influencer coaching program, we talk to them about the need for them to be regularly updating their site in terms of adding content in there, whether it be a blog, videos, those kind of stuff there too. And for so many of them, like it's an absolute overwhelm. For those that WordPress perhaps a little bit easier there as well, but we now have these sites. You mentioned Wix, you mentioned Squarespace. I built a site for my mum and her wedding business on Squarespace in all of 90 minutes. Now it was a basic framework, but it was all that she needed, and it would probably be all that most practitioners would need as well. So what are some of the great things about Squarespace? And tell us more about how to use that, what sort of things, and if somebody were to start to want to build their own site, what are the essential ingredients that they should have?
Yeah, so essential ingredients I find is beautiful imaging. People fall in love with my website straight away. I mean, because I do massage, it's a touchy-feely, feel-good thing. So really good imaging and really good words, okay? And some of that comes from me, what I do to invite people to the website, but a lot of that actually comes from testimonials, okay? That's probably one of the key things that converts people on my website is having testimonials in video, in written. Sometimes I put them onto an image, so just all different variations of that. So I've even pulled them in from Facebook and stuff as well. So yeah, and keeping it simple is another thing. You want your message to stand out, and you want your call to action to stand out. Okay, so I love Squarespace too. It has an announcement bar along the top there. So obviously, what I want people to do is in that announcement bar, which that may be if I'm running a course, I'll be promoting on that. Most of the time it's just got my name and phone number, give me a call for a session. But also too, like this month, I've had Men's Health Month, and I've been running a promotion for 10 guys to get 50% off a session. So that's been on my announcement bar. So very handy tool, and I love that. And you spoke about blogs and things like that. I think it's important to update a blog, but you don't have to be putting stuff out every week. Okay, because like you said, some practitioners get stuck. What do I put out? Is it a video? It's too hard to do. So what I do is actually use my clients. They're coming in and they're asking questions from me about their well-being. That's going to be my content for next week's blog. Because to me, if they're asking about it, everybody else wants to know about it too. Okay. Yeah. So that's an easy way for getting content.
The frequently asked question is such a wonderful source of information. If you're struggling for content, then, we often just say, hey, listen, just the next week between you and your front desk staff is think about what questions that you get asked, and actually ask your patients when they're in here too, hey, have you got any questions about, because you can actually be the one that kind of stimulates that, that also.
Yeah.
Are you tending to write articles that answer those questions? Do you like to do a video? What kind of things have you suggested?
Yeah, in the past, I've done a lot of writing. I actually like to write, and I kind of like writing a bit of a story about it instead of just banging out the facts like I do with a client. But I'm probably moving forward, I'll go more towards video, just because the world is moving more towards video across all the social platforms and stuff, and people want to actually see a person and connect with a person. So I've push myself into that sphere of being comfortable on video and working with that. So yeah, and it doesn't have to be super duper professional. I mean, I've got a mate who's a professional video person and he's done one for my website business and it looks amazing. And I don't aim to be that amazing. I do just like I do today with you kind of thing, me on video, talking simple. Yeah. Or sometimes I might do like a demonstration of what I'm doing. As far as energy healing goes or massage or whatever it may be. So yeah.
I've seen a real shift. I mean, we've been teaching video for a little over 10 years ago. And, in those early days, we used to talk about fancy backgrounds and professionally shot and all those kind of stuff there too. And as that started to get more and more and more, one of the things, whilst those videos can look really great, sometimes there's a lack of authenticity to them as well. They fail to sometimes capture the real me in this case too. And we live in a world of Instagram when, we might see somebody out for lunch that, that was the 17th shot with the right lighting before they posted the photo of them and their breakfast. There's something really refreshing about a video that might be done in selfie mode. That might not be the best, make sure your lighting is okay. Make sure they can actually hear you. But I think authenticity is the secret weapon for practitioners. And it's so damn attractive when I'm like, right, this is who Scott is, or Angus is, warts and all. You're either going to love me or not like me. And either way, it's okay. But I think it's incredibly magnetic.
I think so too, because you're genuine in your approach with that, mate. So people love the genuineness of actually having a conversation or seeing that person talk. Especially for me with massage, because people are, virtually getting all their gear off in front of me and a random stranger. So they want to feel comfortable with that person too. So, and that's, video is a perfect way to do that. So, and like you said, I don't use special lighting and stuff if I'm doing it. Here's me. I talk. Sometimes I mumble. Sometimes I forget what I'm saying or say it 3 times. It's just how it is. And people like that, like you said. Yeah, it's genuine. Yeah.
And you can see, if you remember, not more than kind of 5 minutes ago when I introduced this podcast, which I've now done 75 times, and I mucked it up and I could have gone back and started again. But you know what? It's who I am. I'm far from perfect. We all are. This kind of things happens and you get a roll with me. That's Angus. He'll kind of laugh it off there too. I want to go back to a couple of things that you talked about in your website. You talked about lovely images. Are you a fan of kind of stock images? Should we have photos taken? What sort of images should we have on there? Do you have some thoughts in around that?
Yeah, and I actually have both on my website. So, I'm a keen photographer myself. So I take lots of nature shots and things like that, like things like the blurry background with the macro lens kind of thing. So I can use them for quotes and things. So that kind of stuff I use myself. I do myself. But as far as massage shots, I'm not that great at capturing that kind of thing. I'm too busy doing the massage. So for those, I've actually used stock images. But I've got things like that talk to me as far as the energy goes. So to me, that will actually talk to my clients as far as they see the same thing that I see in an image. So you can actually get stock images that don't look so stocky, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think we have to be really careful with stock images.
Absolutely.
There's nothing worse than someone coming to your website and seeing that image there and then going down the road and seeing that billboard on, advertising somebody else. Business as well. And you know what? I think it's one of those things that's worth the investment too of, having somebody come in and take some photos of you. Perhaps you're working, if it's appropriate, there as well. And we just went and did a whole bunch. My wife is a chiropractor as well, Scott. at her practice, and we just asked a family to come in on a Sunday, and we got a whole bunch of kind of video B-roll and a whole bunch of photographs of her working on the family there outside of kind of hours that we will use throughout lots of our content from now. And it's so much nicer than trying to find stock images.
Absolutely. Once again, I think it has more connection with the people that you want to work with and stuff, having you in those images and stuff as well. So and that makes a big difference. When you're working with bodies, people want that. So very important.
You talked about testimonials as well, and some of our listeners across many different kind of fields that are listening here, some of you you can't, for instance, as a chiropractor, I can't be using testimonials. And again, we have a global kind of audience. And by all means, if you can use testimonials, then please use them because they're really powerful, as Scott was talking about. Do you have a bit of a framework that you tend to think of with a testimony? You said that you kind of grab them from all over the place. But is there something that you like to do in a testimonial if you're asking someone to put one together for you?
Funnily enough, there's not, mate. I know there's like 4 steps. I've done some training. There's 4 steps you're meant to use to get the perfect testimonial. But I actually like the randomness of what my clients come out with, because to me, if I don't, provoke them to say particular things, I never know what they're going to get, what I'm going to get from it. And often it'll be far better than if I said, this is a structure that I'd like you to produce them in. The only thing I would say with that is to try and get them to put the name of your business in the testimonial. Okay, like mine is Body Bliss Massage Noosa. One of the keywords I want to rank for is Massage Noosa. So if they put that Massage Noosa in your testimonial, and that goes through social media, especially on Google My Business, it's a really good thing for SEO and stuff. So
hey, there's another tick for authenticity again, hey?
Exactly. And I also, with that too, I'm trying to move more towards video testimonials than written ones as well, because people can believe them then. Because so many testimonials online, you look at it and go, really? Yeah, I don't know whether that's true or not. So videos, can't lie with that, mate. I've got a massage client lying on the table. They put their head up and go, wow, that was amazing. Or whatever they say. So, So video is the way to go if you can, but like you said, chiropractors probably can't.
So tell me this, if I head on over to Squarespace, how do things kind of work? Do I set up an account there? Is it a monthly fee? Are there, what sort of things do I need to have to kind of set up a Squarespace account? And then could I build my page? Is it complicated? What kind of tech skills is somebody going to need if they're going to set up their own website over at Squarespace?
Sure. So you can actually just go to squarespace.com, click the join button, and off you go and start your own website. You pick a template, it uploads it all for you, and then you just start adding content. Okay, so you need no technical skills at all to create a website. As you said with your mums, it was very, very easy. You did it in 90 minutes. I've got a more complex website with Body Bliss, and it took me about a day to transfer it from Adobe, which in saying that's not a lot of work to make a website. So. And there's a monthly fee for the hosting. They don't have email included, so I use Gmail for that. So you get a free year with that, and then it's something like $60 or $70 a year. It's dirt cheap for that. So, and the hosting too is like $300 a year, which I think it's not the cheapest around. I know that, but for what they offer, I think it's pretty good. So,
and I think as we talked about before, the back end of. I have WordPress sites, and I'm very comfortable kind of dealing with them now, but it wouldn't necessarily be where I might tell somebody to start. I think last night I spent an hour or longer updating plugins and all these kind of things, which, again, I've not been in the back of my site since I did it there too. That stuff all gets looked after for you, yes?
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing you need to do. Once you've built your site, there's nothing you need to do in the back end. It's all just happens behind the scenes for you, which I think is incredible. Compared to what I've done with Adobe or WordPress and stuff, so I love it. And also too, like if you are looking to get a new website, I can actually get you a 20% discount on the hosting as well. So that's worth mentioning to people looking to change as well.
Oh, excellent! So we might pop a link in the show notes for that of how they could do that. Yeah,
for sure.
Great. Yep. So as you're walking the dog now, driving to work, doing what you're doing, don't stress. Come on over to the show notes at adiomedia.com/podcast. Find the episode with Scott and I, and then you'll also save 20% off. That sounds like a winner there too. And I know too, Scott, you might know more about this because I was inside my coaching forum, and they do allow you to link up with things like MailChimp and some of the email providers and stuff like that. I'm sure there are additional costs, but it was John was actually telling me how seamlessly the two of them kind of link together to allow you to do some other things there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, MailChimp, you can actually get a free account, which I use. And I've connected that to both my websites as well. So, and I mean, yeah, they just talk to each other. I mean, years ago, you used to have to do all this coding and stuff to get them to talk. Now you like put in, you know, literally that much coding and they do it all for you. So I love that too. So same with payment gateways. You know, Stripe is the best one out there at the moment, I feel. So yeah, you put in that much code and you've got a payment gateway going through your website. So you can take money while you sleep, basically. So,
Scott, are there some essential pages that everybody should have on their website?
Obviously, your homepage is something that you need to invite people into your business, because if they're going to get to your homepage, most people will come there first. If it's not inviting, they won't go looking further. Okay. And when they get to the homepage, it's got to be, how can you help me right now? What can you do for me? Okay. Because particularly for bodywork people like us, that's what they're looking for. They want change in their body because they're in pain most of the time. So your about page is a great way to tell a story about, you know, what you've done, how you help people, things like that. I've also included testimonials and things on an about page before. And I also think, apart from your services pages, having a blog page where you can keep up to date information, and, you know, also for SEO purposes, that's going to be really helpful as well. Okay. So I'd probably stick to those four as your basics, mate. Yeah.
And then what about things like SEO and all of that kind of stuff too? How does a Squarespace site compare to other things? Can we have it and work towards it ranking for words that might be important to us, like massage noosa that you talked about beforehand?
Yeah, for sure you can, mate. It has all the necessary bits in the back end for you to put in, you know, your meta titles and descriptions and your H1 tags, and you can tag all of your images with your keywords, all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, linking all of your pages within each other. So the on-page stuff is the same as any other, you know, WordPress or Adobe or something. Anything else that I've worked with, the on-page SEO works really well. So I have no trouble with that. The only trouble I had when I built the website, because you know, it's always a website person that has a worse website. I forgot to do the SEO for my Body Bliss one. So I went from like page 1 or 2 to page 5 very quickly.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was interesting. Yeah. I kept all the same URLs, but forgot to do the on-page stuff. So yeah.
Got it. That's a good lesson.
Interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you'd think, being a website person, I would know, but yeah, when it's your own stuff, you kind of skip over some things. So,
and then have you managed to work your way back to that page 1?
It's not on page 1 yet, but it's the first on page 2. So I'm just about there.
Yes.
But luckily for me, with Google My Business, there's 3 businesses are ranked on their map kind of thing, which is above all of the rankings. And I'm number 1 to 3 in those ones. So yeah.
Great.
So even though I'm not on the first page for the listing, I'm on there for the map. So
let's talk about that. Let's kind of segue into Google My Business as well. What is that? So let's explain a little bit more about what Google My Business is.
Yeah, sure. So it's basically, well, as you know, Google is a search engine and it wants to deliver people information. And there's a big trend about, you know, local businesses getting ranked for local search. And Google wants to make that easy for you by having a Google My Business page, okay? It generally will create one for you, whether you know it or not. So you can go and search for your business if you don't have it already, and claim your listing, and then verify that you are the owner of that business, okay? So those are 2 key things to do if you don't already have this page set up. The next thing is to make sure all of your profile is complete. Okay, just like a social media or LinkedIn profile, you've got to make sure all of your details are there to make Google happy first, and then to make your clients, make it easy for them to contact you. Okay, and your image, your what do you call it? Your profile image. Yes. Is important to be something about you, okay, which is, for me, I put a picture of a massage person receiving a massage on there, okay, not me personally, not my logo, because that means nothing to people, but if they can see a person receiving a massage, they know what I'm about, okay, so that's really cool. Yep. They also give you the option to put in pictures and events and offers, and they remind you, they give you 30 days for those to sit around on there, and they remind you when they expire. So to me, it's always important to keep those rolling through there, okay, because like Google loves content, keep giving it content, it's going to love you back, okay. It surprises me how many people look at that stuff on there, because I think, when I'm quite a busy person, I don't look at that kind of stuff, but people do. So fantastic, I put stuff out there. Yeah. So looking after your NAP is important as well, which is your name, address, and phone number, making sure obviously it's up to date in any listing you have anywhere, okay? And Google My Business is obviously priority because that's, like I said, if you can get into listing the top 3 up there, you want people to be able to contact you directly as soon as possible.
Scott, before we go any further, where do we get into to find all this stuff at Google My Business?
Yeah, if you just type in Google My Business, it'll come up for you, mate. So simple.
I thought that might be the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the exact URL. It's not that. It could be google.com/local or something like that. I can't remember exactly, mate. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but yeah, type in Google My Business and it'll bring you up. So you can even type in Google My Business, Body Bliss Massage Noosa, and that should bring up your business in Google My Business. So,
yeah, okay.
Yeah. And you can also get reviews on this site, which I encourage as well, because, sorry, hope that didn't come through.
No.
When your listing comes up, you can actually get like a 5-star rating from Google. Obviously, if your clients are rating you 5-star, that comes up there as well. So getting reviews on Google My Business is really important. And you responding to those reviews is also important, okay, whether they're positive or negative. Obviously, if somebody's had a bad experience, you don't want them putting stuff there, but sometimes they do. So responding to them is appropriate. So with that as well, I spoke before about putting your location or your business name in reviews. If your client doesn't, respond in your testimonial about that as well, or your review about that as well. Okay. Let's have a look what else. So business hours are obviously important. You want people to be able to know when you're open, okay? So keep those up to date. And what I found, I play a bit of a trick with Google. I put my hours from 8 till 9. It doesn't sound going to work 8 till 9, but people were willing to contact me then, and then I can make bookings for the next day. You know, if I want to have the night off, I'm busy that night, book in the next day. So make the most of everything they have there. So, and you can also get a booking button on your listing, which I think is really cool. You can actually, yeah, sorry?
No. I didn't realize that. Where does that booking button go to if they click on that?
You can determine whether it's a booking button that says phone me, or it takes them to your contact us page, or you can actually link it up with something like Acuity, like a scheduling software.
Right. So
they can actually go and book straight from Google. Okay, so it just depends on what software you're using now, because I was thinking of changing, but I'm using other software, and I've also got a chatbot that books people in, so it's just too confusing to have another booking mechanism. So, yeah, but if you don't have anything and you're looking for something, go with Acuity, book it up to your Google Maps page, and it's pretty easy. People can book for you right there and then.
Yeah.
Very handy. Yeah.
Great.
So a couple of things I guess you don't want to do with your profile, like anywhere you go online, don't spam it with keywords, okay? It used to work, but I think that any content you put out there has to be what you would like to read as a client, okay? So put your keywords in there, of course, but don't fill it up, okay? And make sure all of the information you have on there is up to date. 2 key things. Yeah.
I want to kind of click on that, stop for a moment on that kind of don't spam it with keywords. I see this all the time if I'm reviewing, a client's website that, let's just say where I'm a chiropractor here in Port Melbourne, one of the keywords might be just chiropractor Port Melbourne. And so you often see websites that chiropractor Port Melbourne has been working in this area for the last 20 years. And chiropractor Port Melbourne likes to look after people of all ages. When chiropractor Port Melbourne started, it's like, who wrote this?
Yeah.
And whilst it might have once upon a time helped with, keywords there too, I'm going to stop that page because it's terrible. I find it incredibly grating.
Absolutely.
Well. And Google's not that silly. Like, just put it in there. Like, they know now that I'm a chiropractor in Port Melbourne. I don't need to have it written thousands of times throughout there. And there are suggestions that Google is even going out of their way to actually rank those pages lower for doing things like that as well. So that's kind of what you meant by keyword stacking?
Absolutely. Yeah. Avoid that like the plague. Yeah, because like I said, you want to make it user-friendly for your client or reader-friendly for your client. So yeah, you only need to say it once. People are smart enough to get that you're in Port Melbourne. So yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
Yeah, no, that's cool. When that's pretty much it, what I look for. I mean, it's not a big thing to set up, Google My Business. So that's pretty much what I do when I set them up. So yeah.
But in essence, it's like a little mini website or a little wave one page there as well. That certainly for those people that are looking on a mobile device is very convenient. They can get the basics about what they want. There's a link on there too through to your full website as well. Yes.
Yes, correct. There is. Yeah. And oftentimes too, you'll actually see your listing on the right-hand side as you're looking at your local search. Your Google My Business listing will come up on the right-hand side. So the only bad thing about it is sometimes I put 5 different websites down the bottom that people also search for these, and all of your competitors go up there. But that's just how it is. You can't control that. So yeah, yeah. Put out good content, and your people will choose you anyway. So.
Yeah, terrific. So we've talked about kind of getting a website set up and the ease of places like Squarespace. And not only is it ease, but cost effective as well for you to build those major pages, which we said, look, as a homepage and then an About Me page inside of there as well. And then perhaps some ongoing content, whether it be a blog, it's articles or websites. We've then set up our local listing, our Google local listing as well. As far as other online presences as well, you mentioned a little bit about a chatbot there as well. Are there other things that we could be looking at doing to kind of help our online presence?
Sure. And just to add one thing to your Squarespace, mate, you'll need to put your services page up there as well. So you need to let people know what you do. So
great. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Good point.
And I've just started doing chatbots, which is actually really easy. You can set up a process within the chatbot that people can actually book a massage with you while you're working with other people, which, I mean, a bit like a booking system. They can go and choose a slot, but it's just on your website. It looks a bit more personable. And it's just, I think it's a bit of a fun kind of thing and it works, people like that. So yeah, it's a bit like having a conversation with you, even though they're not. So yeah.
What system, Scott, have you used there with your chatbot?
So Artibot is the name of Artibot.io is the name of the company that I use. And it's drag and drop to set it up. And then you put, that much code on your website and it works seamlessly for you. So, I mean, they use Google Calendar with that. So you kind of have to juggle between your booking system and your Google Calendar to make sure you're not double booking. So, but I always just put a disclaimer in there that's like, this is my chatbot and I'm taking your booking, but Scott will confirm to make sure that it's going to work for everybody before it's booked in. So,
and that's what I like too. It's pretty, nowadays you see more and more people being upfront and says, hey, listen, this is a chatbot. Just be aware there too. And then you've kind of worked out some possible responses and directions of where to take people where they want, and just automates all of that.
Yeah, well, it's similar just to having a phone conversation with somebody, the booking process you go through. It's like, how long a session do you like? What kind of session are you after? When can you come? Here's my details kind of thing. What are your details? And would you like to make a deposit? So actually that's a good thing too. You can actually take a deposit, a $50 deposit from the people through a chatbot, hook it up to your Stripe and off you go. So, which sometimes that's good. I mean, I don't actually get a lot of cancellations with my bookings and stuff. So, but I mean, if you do get a lot of cancellations, it's actually good to take a deposit with that. So I love that. Chatbot for that reason. So
certainly when you've got longer consultations like you have that can be up to 2 hours in time, if you have 1 or 2 people cancel in a day, that can, really throw things out, particularly if it's last moment when you're not able to kind of refill those spots. That really makes sense there as well. We've kind of morphed a little bit into this kind of what's working for you as well, sort of seamlessly as well. So we've talked about the chat bot and some of the things there as well. What other things are you doing in practice to keep yourself in front of new people that keeps things kind of turning over?
Probably one of the biggest thing is called a value-added relationship, which I didn't know it was called that until just recently. I was doing it for the last 3 or 4 years, but one of my coaches said it's called that. So I'm great, I'm doing it. And I go to a yoga studio, Zenko Yoga here at Noosa, which is absolutely fantastic. I love the owner, I love the teachers, I love the people kind of thing. And I mean, from that, I connect with those people and I've probably got, like 10 grand seriously worth of business in the last probably 2 years from going there. Okay. So it's, go and hang out where your target market is hanging out. I mean, I love yoga people because their bodies are flexible. It's easier for me to do my work. So yes, they get tight bits and stuff, but they're not going, I can't move. And I mean, I also give back to her community as well. I mean, at Christmas parties, I gave away 5 1-hour massage gift vouchers, which were well received. Yeah, but that's a bonus too, because she was giving away 12-month yoga memberships. I won one of those. So, cost me $500 to give and I've got $1,000 worth of stuff. So I'm winning.
That's the equation. Winning. That one works every time, doesn't it?
Yeah. And also too, I mean, it's good publicity for me. It's like Scott's the massage therapist. I mean, if I'm the only one that they're talking about, then it's like, well, he's the person of choice if you're in the yoga studio to go and see Scott. So, yeah.
I think that's the yoga studio seems like that's such a perfect match for you. Given the Kahuna massage, it's not a typical kind of deep tissue myotherapy, needles and cupping type sort of stuff there too. The kind of person that's more likely to do it is, you know, if you think about that avatar, it's probably more likely to be kind of into yoga, into those kind of alternate type sort of therapies as well, and invest in the community, be cool and helpful to them. And this kind of marketing just makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. And you're totally right about the, you know, the different kind of people. Because I don't attract many people that, you know, are down that doctor will fix me kind of modality, or what do you call it, headspace. So alternative is probably more my thing. But it's not weird enough that, you know, you have a very small selection of clients. It's like yoga's pretty mainstream. I mean, there's a yoga studio just about in every corner in Noosa, same with massage. So you know, it's pretty mainstream up here. So and to me, it's just like they're my kind of people. You know, they get looking after their bodies. They get massages, maintenance. It's not go and fix me kind of thing. So as well as they're just really nice people. So,
and I'm guessing too, Scott, that you didn't go in there with the intention of, I'm going to go in here and then just market the heck out of my practice as well. So how did that organically kind of flow? Because that's, I'm in the process of I got an email this morning from one of my clients who's trying to reach out to somebody with that exact intent. It's like, no, don't do it. Please don't send that email. That's not going to come across cool and helpful at all. It just comes across sleazy. So let's kind of walk back. So how did that relationship develop towards them sending business your way?
Sure. To me, it's just talking to people in class. I mean, Lauren, the owner, is big on community. And like, I like talking to people kind of thing, one-on-one. I've, you know, retail management background. I'm used to that kind of stuff. So, and I like finding out about people, you know, what they do in their life and, you know, why they come to yoga and stuff like that. It's also too, because I'm a bloke, and I mean, yoga traditionally it's a bloke thing, but I mean, nowadays it's more a woman's thing.
Yes.
I like to encourage all of the blokes to, you know, have a chat and get to know them and feel part of the community so they'll come back. Okay, because one of Lauren's goals is to build the amount of guys in the room as well. So, but yeah, and it's just, you know, being yourself, having a bit of fun, not being so serious about stuff. People like that and they feel, you know, comfortable with you. So it's like, oh, you do massage, great, I'll come and see you. Or you build websites as well. It's like, how do you do both? It's like, I just do. Great, can I come and see you? So, you know, you just be yourself and have fun and people are attracted to you. So it's not the hard sell. Like I said, you give a little, people see that and they're very appreciative of it. So yeah, just a beautiful relationship actually, so that you don't really have to try hard to do. So
yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, we're forever having practitioners that are really scared of marketing because they don't want to be pushy or salesy or sleazy. And I'm like, great, because that doesn't work anyway. You'd never want to be doing that kind of marketing. You know, we hate it when we get those phone calls in around dinner time when somebody's abrasive to us. It's not the kind of relationship that we want to set up, but we engage as part of a community. We let them know that we're a real human being. We show real care and empathy. And that's what naturally happens as a part of a community as well when we invest in it. And, you know, we have a similar relationship. One of the chiropractors that work with me, Kirby, is just obsessed with everything CrossFit. She loves the community. She's a part of the community. And as a result from that too, it sends an enormous amount of business Kirby's way. She invests back in the community a lot and is forever running different foam roller classes and mobility classes for them. All those things, kind of that lovely reciprocity that happens between the two of them as well. So along with the value added type sort of relations that you have, what else has worked for you?
Yeah, keeping in contact with clients has worked pretty well. And most of that is via email, okay, which people say email marketing is dead, blah, blah, blah. I would disagree with that totally. Just about every single time I send out an email, I'll get a client who hasn't been for a number of months and go, oh, thank you for reminding me. I've been thinking of you. I need to come and see you. And sometimes, I mean, sometimes I get a bit slack and I'm just sending out, you know, my next course or my next this or that kind of thing. But I do try and send out informative emails about, you know, sleep patterns or energy in your body or whatever it may be that people are talking about with me that week. So, because once again, if one person is having issues with sleep, generally there's more people out there that are having it too. So it's good to send out what you can. And using your PSs down the bottom is really important for what you want people to do. Because some people are really busy. They go, hi, blah, 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 straight to the bottom and look at your PS. So I always put my offers or whatever I need them to do in the PSs. So yeah, get onto the email marketing, build your database. I mean, I don't have a very big database at all. It's only a couple of hundred people, but it's a responsive database. Okay. 30 to 50% opens every single time I send out an email, which apparently according to MailChimp, that's very high for my kind of industry. So most of them are 10 to 15. So yeah. Probably one more thing to talk about is a process I call the 3 R's, mate, which is refer, rebook, and request.
Yes.
Okay?
Tell us about that.
Yeah, request doesn't work so much for me because it's only me in this practice, okay, which I work from home. So, but if you're in a practice with, 3 other chiropractors, you want people to request you, okay? So you need to be the kind of person that they love being with, and you need to obviously help them and fix what they came for. Refer. I ask people all the time, who can you refer to me to come and see me? If you've really enjoyed my services, who can you refer to me? And rebook goes without saying, before you leave kind of thing, when you want to book in for your next session, okay? In saying that, that used to work really well for me. Nowadays, people are too busy. They don't know what's going on and stuff. They say, I'll come back for sure, but I don't know when. Okay, so I just trust that people do it. I mean, 70% of my clients are repeat clients. So I know even though I don't rebook them then, they'll come back and see me. So yeah, 3 R's, if you don't have a process, refer, rebook, request, is a good way of keeping clients. So,
Scott, have you ever touched base with your clients and asked them whether they'd like a reminder in let's just say their next visit was to be in 4 or 6 weeks' time? The thing that we actually do at our place, if somebody says, look, I know I need to be back in a couple of weeks' time, their schedule's a bit kind of wacky. My front desk staff will say, look, not a problem, Scott. If I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks, would you like me to give you a call? And we always ask from there too.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
9 out of 10 people would go, that would be fabulous.
Yes. Yeah. And I do have a small number of clients who like that service as well. And I just send them a quick text, this is 4 weeks kind of thing. When did you want your session this week? So, and sometimes I say now, sometimes I say next week, depends on what's going on. So yeah, that does work as well, very well. And that's another personal touch that you can add. So yeah.
I think for so many, it took me a little while to realize that when people weren't coming to see me, it wasn't often because they were displeased or unsatisfied with my service. They just got really busy. I mean, gang, that's what's happening. Your patients' lives are as busy and hectic as what yours is. And, a friendly reach out and, Scott's talked about, whether it be via email or a text message or a phone call, and if you ask them in advance, are you okay with that? Then they love it. It's appreciated.
Yes. Yeah. Then it doesn't come across as slimy and needy kind of thing, does it? It's like you're offering them a service and they've said yes to it. So it works both ways. Yeah.
Man, who doesn't love an adjustment? Who doesn't love a massage as well?
Absolutely. That's right.
Wonderful. Hey, Scott, you've shared so many wonderful, I love, these are some of my favorite conversations to have on the podcast, is the concept of what's working now. And as we talked about at the start, even before we started, it's an in the trench type sort of conversation as well. And what I like about it, and what I want to let our audience know, is that, through sites like Squarespace, which I'm a huge fan of as well, you can build your own site there relatively easily. And of course, if you want somebody to help you out with that, then Scott kind of has a done for you, done with you service as well, which we'll be sure to kind of link down. And what's great about Scott is he understands our needs as practitioners, and getting you set up for a site that you'll be able to manage ongoing, and if you need some support with Scott there as well. And I also want to say this, if you're in the Noosa area or even Queensland, it's probably worth driving for as well. Then pop in to see Scott for a Kahuna massage. And if you're not in Noosa, then look up Kahuna massage and just go and have one as well. So Scott, any kind of final things that you want to share with us? I know that you've got a training course coming up soon, hopefully by the time I release this, that hasn't already gone past. So any final thoughts that you want to kind of share with our audience?
Yeah, well, the training course I'm doing, energy healing, it's just one of those things I've done for so many years. I don't think about it. I think everybody can do it. But people are saying, that's amazing. What do you do? It's like, oh, okay, I do that. Yeah, I can teach that. Cool. Let's start running a course. So yeah, and I mean, I do them every 6 weeks if I can. They just, it doesn't always suit people when I'm running them and stuff. So I just keep putting them out. So yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I think just look at how many different ways you can service your clients. Okay. Because what I found with me, it's like, I think everybody can do what I can do, and they can't.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think about that, and people start asking questions. It's like, well, if one person is asking that question about energy healing, other people are going to be interested. So, I mean, you guys might already have this nailed, but I'm a bit slow like that. So,
No, not at all. Scott, one of the things that I really love about what you do is you're so incredibly proactive at what you do across everything. And, one of these, the school my kids go to, their principal is always talking about the Renaissance kid, which is somebody that has a set of skills across many areas. And I think that you are, a wonderful representation of a Renaissance man as well.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge and thank you for being so incredibly generous with our audience today. I'll have in our show notes a bunch of links that if you want to get a massage with Scott, if you want to have Scott help you out with your website as well, and if you want to go along to one of his energy healing courses there as well. So Scott, thanks so much, buddy. I look forward to chatting with you again really soon. Thanks, mate.
My pleasure, Angus. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.